Stories of superheroes have been told since the birth of the film medium, and it's grown a lot as the quality and technology has improved over time. From the beginning with The Mark of Zorro, to Adam West's Batman, to today's massive MCU empire. We've seen a lot of classic tales told. And if you want to get even crazier, superhero stories have been going on way before the creation of cinema, with comic books and novels like The Invisible Man paving the way for what we have today. And when you add the birth of animation and video games into the mix, a whole plethora of characters are born. So with that comes a lot of overused storylines and a lot of repetitive plot points, leading to the slow death of creativity, otherwise known as superhero fatigue. I mean, come on, how many times have you seen a billionaire playboy go through a traumatic experience that leads them to a huge transformation? Or a teenage boy who suddenly gets powers through a freak accident, which causes them to struggle balancing their normal life and superhero life. Oh, and of course, there's the classic big superhero team-up and crossover, or even the recently popular multiverse. My point is, there's a lot, and we've seen a lot. So it's fair to say audiences are tired of the whole superhero trend. Or are we? You see, there's one show that has pretty much all of these concepts, and yet people love it. I am, of course, talking about this 2021 Amazon show, based on a comic book series with the same name, follows teenager Mark Grayson and his transformation into a superhero under the guidance of his father, Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man. So what is so special about this animated cartoon, and how did Invincible create the perfect superhero story? One of the biggest struggles about creating a brand new superhero show is creating fresh, original, and lovable characters. Also creating a new, yet familiar world, or sometimes even universe. Mark's conversation with his tailor in the very first episode perfectly encapsulates the challenge of creating superhero characters. Everyone wants their characters to be iconic.
That's what everyone wants. Iconic. A symbol. Something kids will draw on the margins of their notebooks while they daydream about being as cool as you. It's also tough as hell to pull off.
And much like he said, it is tough to pull off when you're competing against some of the most iconic superhero characters ever. Batman, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, Spider-Man. Just take a look at their silhouettes and they're easily recognizable. So not only do the creators have to make a recognizable, lovable, and memorable main character, they also have to make a whole supporting cast of these types of characters, and a villain just as memorable as the hero. A universe that is just as iconic as its competitors. Bonus points if the costumes are too. And the show not only achieves this high standard, it goes beyond what is asked. From the main characters Invincible and Omni-Man, to the side characters Adam, Eve, and Robot, to the galactic characters Alan, the Alien, and the Viltrumites, the show can stand on its own 2 feet with iconic character designs and personalities. And not only that, it has a fascinating universe for these people to live in.
Sure, yeah. Although like 90% of that, if I'm being honest, sounds completely made up.
Usually in every superhero story, there's a government figure who interferes with the hero's plans, or a distant utopian planet which one of the main characters comes from. And this show sees these tropes, uses them, and improves upon them. Cecil, this show's government figure, is surprisingly 3-dimensional. He's not the stereotypically flat, power-hungry leader. He actually has some humanity to him, despite his manipulative ways. He's flawed, but he's a human in a world full of superheroes. And Viltrum, the distant utopian planet, isn't your stereotypically perfect Krypton. It's actually the home to a bloodthirsty empire on the quest for galactic domination, which serves as a critical plot point to this show's overarching story. This empire forces Mark into an incredibly emotional breaking point, where he needs to make the toughest choice ever. Invincible really is a superhero show made by superhero fans. People who have grown up with countless comics, cartoons, and movies and want to take the genre to the next step. It pays homage to the classic tropes while reinventing them to make it feel fresh and new. It's mature.
This is my home and I won't let you destroy it.
It's goofy. And it loves what it is. A superhero show.
I'm invincible.
Compared to Invincible's bloodier next-door neighbor, The Boys, which could be seen as a superhero show made by people who hate superheroes.
If taking drugs is uncool, I'm the most uncool motherfucker on the planet. Fuck you.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. The show is animated, which for some people, especially the octogenarians out there, is a big no-no. And let's be real, I don't see your grandpa realistically watching this show, even if he is the biggest comic book nerd ever. Animation unfortunately gets a bad rap for being cartoonish. But I mean, if anything, Invincible is anything but cartoonish. But I don't think that's where they're coming from. Some people just want to see the nuances of the human face, the cold, glaring, yet determined and scared look of the eyes. That's the only way for them to connect with these characters, and I think that's valid and a fair point. But that's a shame, because you'd be missing out on an incredible story simply because it's animated. You'd be missing out on some of the best performances ever. The voice actors are all phenomenal and put their hearts into every single scene. The final fight between Omni-Man and Invincible wouldn't have the same effect if it weren't for the incredible talent of J.K. Simmons and Steven Yeun. It's them and the other cast members that allow you to connect with these characters. And again, let's be real, live action superhero shows suck right now. I'll gladly take an animated cartoon with a well-written story over any Marvel show nowadays. And the animation is really well done too. Season 1 has so many spectacular shots and bright colors that you will not find in live action. But the main reason why Invincible is amazing, why everybody should watch it, is because the story is amazing. At its core, Invincible is about family, father and son, mother and son. This is what drives the story further. The relationships between the characters, their dynamics, is what breathes life into the animation. Omni-Man's betrayal and murder of the Guardians of the Globe is not only a great hook for the show, but creates a perfect narrative for the first season. Sure, his motivations are an interesting mystery. Why did he do it? But what you really care about is Mark and Debbie. His father and her husband betrays them behind their backs. How are they going to find out? When are they going to find out? And what are they going to do then? This underlying tension builds in every scene with the family, and the external characters only help to build that tension. Mark's relationship with the new Guardians of the Globe, particularly Eve, gives him a chance to learn how to be a hero separate from his father. It makes him more human than Viltrumite. Mark's friendship with Alan, while humorous, helps him understand galactic life separate from his father. Mark's dynamic with Cecil challenges him to work with others, unlike his father, which builds to his emotional breaking points in Season 2. If Season 1 is father and son, Season 2 is mother and son. The recent multiverse shenanigans in Season 2 gives us the opportunity to see hundreds of different universes, all of which Mark is evil in. This simple plot point gives a much greater significance to the main universe we watch and helps us narrow down the complexity of the multiverse. Again, the show is taking and improving the multiverse gimmick while also giving the audience some fan service in the process. And ultimately, we come to understand that our Mark is good because of his mom. We learn that if it wasn't for Debbie's influence on him when he was younger, he'd turn out drastically different. And their scenes together resonate with you more when you realize this. As Mark struggles with the thought of turning into his father, his mom is there as a foundational rock. As he struggles with killing for the first time, it's his foundation that allows us to sympathize with his struggle. It's his foundation that allows you to connect with and relate to Invincible. And while Season 2, in my opinion, isn't as good as the first, it's clearly building to something bigger and grander. Season 1 was tough to follow, but I have no doubt that Season 3 will be phenomenal, especially with Omni-Man's character growth.
I think I miss my wife.
It's a story as old as time. The story of family. The good, the bad, and the ugly parts of it. The nuances, the joys, and the heartbreak. When the people you love hurt you the most. Every character in the show goes through a similar journey. And it's that journey that makes this show perfect. That grounded human element that almost everyone can relate to is what makes Invincible stand out. And that's how you create the perfect superhero story.